Welcome back, Sebastian here. So today I'm going to be doing my review of both the sprint race for the F2 Melbourne race, first race of the season, as well as the feature race that we had a couple hours ago. So first, starting out with the sprint race, of course, this happened yesterday. If you want to hear about what happened today in what was supposed to be the feature race, you can skip ahead to that portion of the build video if you'd like. But for the sprint race yesterday, Fornaroli was on pole, Durskin P2, of course, the reverse grid for the sprint race. Of course, another big point of drama before that occurred this weekend was that that 6 cars were basically given 10 place grid drops because of tampering that they had basically done to their car during testing. I believe it was the 2 Hi-Techs, the 2 Rodents, 2 Tridents, and yeah, I believe the might have been the Hi-Tech. I don't think it was a Hi-Tech either, but there was another car in there, another team in there. But yeah, obviously that was a big point of drama going into the weekend. So first lap of the race, not too chaotic. Durskin, good start, and he takes the lead at the first corner. Victor Martins, one of the championship favorites this year, he also went very wide at turn 1 and dropped a couple of positions there. That opening lap as well, Chris Miney went rallying in the gravel at turn 10, lost a couple of positions there, did the Indian driver. Lap 2, I believe. Unfortunately, big first crash of the season, and that belonged to Victor Martins, who had definitely not had a good start to his season. Fortunately for him, the crash was totally self-inflicted, just a snapper oversteer on the entry to turn 5, and then basically just went into the wall, as you can see in the picture, and yeah, damaged suspension, I think, for both rear and front, and he was able to basically continue for the rest of that straight, but would end up pulling over on the side of the track. So we had a short virtual safety car to clear that incident. A couple laps later, we saw footage of Jack Crawford retiring in the pits. Not sure what exactly happened. Looked like some kind of mechanical issue, though. Lap 6, Oliver Gerther overtook Miata for P11 at turn 1. Again, this track is still pretty difficult to overtake in, even with Formula 2 cars, which kind of suggests how much more difficult it would be in an F1 car. Although with what the weather's looking like today, we'll see what kind of racing we have. Esterson, then, second big incident of the race, he ended up in the wall at turn 6, spun on the entry to the corner, just lost it there, and then, yeah, just ended up into the tire barrier, and that brought out the full safety car. 4 laps later, lap 10, safety car comes in, and a couple almost immediately, I think lap after the safety car, spin for Beganovic at turn 10, just carrying a little bit too much speed, asking a little bit too much from the car, puts the car into a spin, and he drops from 6th on the road down to 16th. Gabriele Mini looked pretty strong, and he overtook Marty for P7 at turn 3 as well, and that was on lap 13. Lap 14, next incident of the race, and this time it was the sister Trident car. So at this point, both Tridents out of the race, and Sammy Megatunov having a very similar incident to Beganovic, just I think carrying a little bit too much speed through the turn 9 and turn 10, goes off into the gravel, but beaches the car this time, unlike Beganovic, who was able to keep going. So yes, that brought out another safety car. That was lap 14, and that safety car ended lap 16. Lap 17, Miata goes rallying and drops from 11th to 13th, or I believe, let's see, he got overtaken for P11. So yeah, only dropped one position from 12th to 13th. Lap 19, Mini, I think another good race for him, putting Montoya under pressure for P6 at turn 3, but unfortunately for him, not able to get past. Then lap 23, second last, well, I think the overtake was lap 22, but leaders had already started lap 23. So Dunn overtook Lindblad at turn 11, I believe, and that was for P9. And we saw on the live feed, again, it was a bit of a hairy moment for Dunn at the following corner, turn 12. But nonetheless, the Irishman managed to stay ahead, but unfortunately not quite in the points for the sprints, which was only the top 8. And then shortly thereafter, Josh Durskin takes the checkered flag, wins the sprint race, and tentatively took the championship lead for Formula 2. So taking a look at your standings for that first race, Dorskin wins again. I believe he won the feature race in Abu Dhabi, so won the last F2 race of last season, again wins the first race of this year. Joining him on the sprint podium, Fornaroli and Browning. The rest of the top 10, Verschoor, Stanek, Montoya, Mini, Marti. So Marti last to the point scores, and then Dunn and Lindblad rounding out the top 10. In terms of DNFs for this race, it seems like it was a really bad race to be an American or a French driver, with Megatunov, Esterson, Crawford, and Martens all retiring. Now, in terms of the feature race, unfortunately, for those of you who are looking forward to a review of the feature race, first race of the year, didn't really happen today. So we'll go over what happened, or what didn't, I should say. So it started with Martins on pole. Verschoor was supposed to start P2. We had an aborted start, and it seems like for some reason Verschoor caused the aborted start. I didn't quite catch on the broadcast what exactly happened, but I think in the rules, if you cause the start to be aborted, you have to start from the pit lane. Nonetheless, I don't think it really turned into an issue. So I know on the radio they were basically discussing, hey, let's start from the pit lane because we're already going to have a drive-through penalty. So again, initially 10-minute delay, formation lap then begins behind the safety car, and we get a red flag after one lap. They decide it's too wet. Then coming back into the pits, Dunn breaks down in the pit entry, so they basically had to push his car back into the garage. They attempted to restart 20 minutes later, and then decided to delay the start again. We eventually got going about an hour after the initial start time for the formation lap, but again, they decided to call it a red flag again because they decided the conditions were too wet. And shortly thereafter, the race was canceled. We got some interesting footage of some ducks. I guess they were the driver of the race, the ducks that were littering the course. And so, yeah, unfortunately, no F2 feature race, which is a big shame, especially since, it would cost quite a bit of money to ship all the cars, all the equipment, and of course for the drivers, team personnel, to go all the way to Australia just for this race. So I think quite a shame. I think the race control has definitely, last 5 or 6 years, I would say, they've become very, very cautious with, running in wet conditions. And especially, I think, since the F2 and the F3 cars now have somewhat similar aerodynamic setups, they're relying on basically the underbody of the car, the diffuser, and that, unfortunately, those kinds of cars generally will cause water spray to basically go up and over. It works great in dry conditions, but unfortunately in wet conditions it has the opposite effect, and it makes visibility very, very difficult. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say whether these conditions were really raceable or not. I think the race control have become very risk adverse in the last 5 or 6 years or so, and I do think it's a bit unfortunate in a sense, because I think that the safety of these cars is so high, and unfortunately, if you don't let these drivers practice in the race in the rain, they're never going to get better, and therefore they're not going to learn how to drive in wet conditions. So that was the feature race, and then so just going over the championship standings after your Australia round, Josh Durkin is your surprise championship leader with 10 points, Fornaroli second with 8, and of course it's basically just the sprint race results. The only change, of course, is that I believe Martins holds on to his 3 points, or is it 2 points? 2 points, I believe, for pole position. That might be a typo there. So again, I do believe he holds on to those points even though the race is canceled. That's something I would have to check after. But nonetheless, not a great opening round of the season in Melbourne. Sprint race was decent, overtaking not really existent. You had some overtakes here and there, a couple crashes. And then, of course, you had the feature race, which, again, didn't happen. So we'll have to wait, again, about a month, I should say, for the next Formula 2 action, as the next couple races, China and Japan, are not part of the F2 schedule. So next time out, we'll be in Bahrain. Should be very dry. Should be able to have 2 races. No red flags for rain. No canceled races or anything like that. So hopefully I'm back in about 3 or 4 hours time with the review of the F1 race. And hopefully we do have a race. Looking forward to it quite a bit. But nonetheless, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.